Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the call. I just want to give it back to Mr. Thomas for who he is, for being a leader, a mentor, and being an example for everyone to follow. And just want to thank him so much for who he is as a person, whether he financially benefits or not. You know that he's always there for us, and that's an attribute that a lot of people do not have. And so definitely want to give it back to him tonight. So before I go into my topic, I kind of was debating on what I wanted to talk about. I feel like everything that has needs to be covered is out there, whether it's in our back office or it's on the channel, the Destiny International channel. There's so many resources for us out there, whether we have to read about it or watch a video. I mean, we have so many tools for us, information overload essentially, but really, I didn't know what to talk about. So I just decided, let me share 8 things that I've learned. Okay. I mean, I've learned so many more than 8 things, but I kind of just thought of what things that might help somebody along the way. So I'm going to share my screen here. So 8 things I've learned. So let me go through this really quickly with you. Number 1, if you must repeat yourself, record it, save it, download it, document it. So learn to leverage yourself by keeping anything you will or have to repeat it in your business. So for example, we actually have a cheat sheet on services in our area. How about you guys? Okay. Maybe you can have a video. You can reference someone to a video on Destiny International on a certain service or a certain topic since the resources are there. For example, for us, we focus on low-hanging fruit of services to learn. So maybe Gas and Vivint might be the first services for a new business partner. So knowing this, I created a cheat sheet of services, including those services for the team members so they can kind of reference as bullet points. So that's so important that we stay up to date with the services so you can modify, adjust as needed with any changes that go on in the business. You know, we don't have to have our team dependent on us. And it actually starts from day 1. So we got to set that example early on. Direct people to where to go for the learning center and so forth like that. But it is their job to read up on it and learn it. Okay, it's not your job. So I remember at a time that I was helping a team member and it was regarding gas sign up for one of his customers. And guess what he did? He had a recorder and he recorded the whole conversation. So what did he do? He copied and pasted, and that's what I'm talking about. So it only took one conversation, one meeting with a customer, and that team member was off and running without me. So remember, we are creating independent business owners, not dependent business owners. So let's watch this quick video, and sometimes you'll find that you have to repeat yourself over and over again.
I'll do the number 7.
Number 11?
7.
Number 11?
7.
Sorry, I can hear you.
It's okay. Number 7.
Okay, number 11.
You get the point as far as the video is concerned. So number 2, don't be a salesperson. I heard of a survey that was done where people were asked when they heard the word salesman, what was their first thoughts? The predominant results were very negative. They were not viewed or thought to be positive, but rather words such as sleazy, pushy were some of the top and most predominant words that the survey revealed. So let's imagine that you were in that group of people being surveyed. What kind of words would come to your mind initially? If they aren't positive, it might be no wonder why it may be holding you or stunting or keeping yourself back from progress. Remember, selling is not adversary, but collaborative. Here's something that I've been guilty of. Has anyone ever told you, you're such a good salesperson? Well, guess what, guys? That's not a compliment. That means you are that salesperson that most people don't like. Here's something I heard once from a video. The gentleman was told when he encounters people who are very analytical, okay, I'm guilty of that instead of answering their questions was to say something like, I'm not sure. Is this question important for you to know? The ironic thing was that when he later came across that situation, although he knew the answer to the question that was being asked, he practiced what he was taught and said exactly what he was told to say. I'm not sure. Is this something that's important for you to know? What he found out was that the individual said, no, I guess it's not that important. And he was able to move forward without having to answer the question. So even though you might know the answer to a question, is it always helpful to answer those questions? Well, based on research and from personal experience, I would say probably not. Not only is it not duplicatable, but it also puts you as a high likelihood of being a salesperson because we might be viewed as someone who has all the answers. And isn't that what a salesperson's supposed to be like? I heard a story from a gentleman who was out looking to buy some knives for his daughter who was learning how to cook. He went into a store and the salesman quickly approached him. The salesman asked him what he was looking for. The gentleman said he was looking for some knives. Immediately, the salesman took him to a set of high-priced knives and talked about all the benefits of the knives and how great the quality was and so forth. The gentleman asked the salesman, "Are these knives very sharp?" The salesman said, "Oh, yes, they are top-notch and have been used by the Navy SEALs because of the metal and durability that is used." It was at that point the gentleman told the salesman that he didn't think that these knives were for him because he was actually looking to buy them for his teenage daughter who was learning how to cook, and he was afraid that she would cut herself. The salesman was so busy talking about the product that he didn't stop to ask the gentleman some basic questions to clarify what it was the gentleman was really looking for. And guess what? He lost that sale. So the moral of the story is ask questions and don't be a salesperson. Number 3, learn to identify the right people to spend time with. Well, like pre-qualify is a good word, right? So a simple, quick phone call can do a lot. So for example, if you get a call from someone about, let's say, saving on their utility bill, I mean, as simple as this sounds, but hopefully you ask them questions before you set up a time to meet them. You might find out that they don't even have a gas section on their utility bill, or better yet, they might be on average billing with a utility company. And in our market, we can't sign anybody up that are on this type of plan. So another example would be maybe someone who you talk to is looking for a job. They have no desire to be an entrepreneur or work for themselves, but like the idea of working a job. There's so much you can learn from someone by asking questions and hearing what they say. I remember doing a home event some time ago, and there was this gentleman in the kitchen after the event who was asking me all these questions, these kinds of questions. And since I knew all the answers, of course, I answered them. Come to find out, after various questions and time taken away from other people, I finally said, "Are you asking these questions because you're interested in being a customer or signing up in the business?" He ended up saying, "Neither. I was just curious." All that time I had spent with the wrong person because I didn't ask that question at the very beginning and pre-qualify him to make sure he was even serious about the information he had seen. So let's watch this quick video about pre-qualifying, or in this case, a job interview that's kind of funny but proves the point.
Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri tell me this, Siri find me that. We're all good getting you the answers.
Tell Siri I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand
What don't you understand?
what you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pump skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Okay. I know that's cute, but okay. Number 4, moving on. Learn to repeat someone for clarification. So here's the thing. Stop assuming you know what people mean. Learn to listen what people mean, not just what they're saying. And I think I heard that from the good old Dr. Byron Nelson himself. So not only will this help you clarify what someone means, but it will also give you time to think if you need to. So for example, if someone says, I don't have the time, repeat what the person said in a question. So you would say, you don't have the time? Okay, even if they said something like, I just don't have the money. You say, you don't have the money? Okay, see what that does? Guess what's going to happen? They're going to clarify. They're going to go into details. I challenge you to try this with anyone you know at home, and you'll hear, or anybody. And just by making their statement into a question and repeating it, people will further explain. I guarantee. So let's watch this video about communication. See how it's important to ask questions rather than assume what someone is saying sometimes.
These floors don't look very good.
Okay, that was cute too. I love these little videos to add to the PowerPoints. Okay, so this is a great quote that I think is relevant. So when you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. Absolutely. So number 5, tonality is everything. See, it's not what you say as much as how you say it. So imagine you were to hear a lady yelling. The first thing that would happen is the top part of the brain would respond, or the survival part, also known as a fight or flight, to the tone and sound it heard. After about 1 to 2 seconds later, the words would then hit your cortex, or problem-solving part of the brain, and you would say, oh, it's just a lady yelling at her son to be careful crossing the street. And you would interpret the situation to be okay. But here's the thing, it's the tone and the sound that you will always hear first. You ever notice how some people could come across really harsh and mean, even though they are saying something very similar to someone else who are saying kind of the same thing, but that person, they don't come across as harsh when they say it. You ever notice why? Well, that's why. It's the tone and sound that is heard and why this is happening. I heard this great way you can practice. If say you say something and you can add "you dummy" at the end of your sentence, then you're probably using the wrong tone. Here's something I heard that might also help. It's been said, your face expressions are the remote control to how your tone comes across to people. I promise you, if you put a smile on your face when you say something, your tone will reflect the look on your face. Try it, guys. 6, stop telling people what to do. When you tell people the solution to their problem, you will own both the solution and the problem. Learn to turn statements into questions. It should always be their idea. I remember taking a course. It was a Dave Ramsey course. And the gentleman who was doing the Zoom was amazing at this. He was so strategic that he was always able to ask questions in a way that the person he was using as an example would take responsibility or claim it like it was his or their idea. It was their idea based on the questions he asked them. Now, this is not something I will tell you that comes natural to anyone. It's something that must be practiced, rehearsed, and maybe even memorized depending on the situation. So, example, with what we do, we get a lot of the same type of objections. Can you agree? So think about what kind of questions you could ask someone when they come up with one of the common objections. Let's just say someone said something like, I have to talk to my spouse. What could you say in that scenario? What if you said something like, well, what do you think your spouse would say? Or you could say something like, well, what do you think your spouse would say about you wanting to make some extra money from home for your guys' family? Just by asking a simple question like that, you will be able to expand more to hopefully get you to the root of what's really going on in that person's head. Number 7, learn how to interrupt someone's thinking pattern. See, you know what? We're so programmed that many times they don't think before they speak. And if they do speak, it's more of a reflex or a habit. Your job is to get people in a different state of mind. So for example, say someone says, I don't have the money. We all know that's just an excuse. More than likely, that's just an excuse. And it's not the real underlying problem. What if you said something like, well, that's not a problem? Not something that they would hear from a typical salesperson, right? Here's another example. Say you prospect somebody and you call them later to set up a time to meet with them about the business, and they start to perhaps backtrack, not seem to be very interested. What if you said something like, well, I'm not sure we can even help you, or I'm not even sure if it makes sense for us to talk. I would have to know more about your current situation. Like, what is it that you do now? Now, okay, this is not something that they would absolutely expect, right? They would more than likely expect the reaction of a typical salesperson who's trying to hard sell them or come across like they need the person versus the other way around. Pay attention to people's body languages if you are able to see them, face to face, and don't be afraid to say something to interrupt their habitual patterns. So this is a pattern interrupt. This person saying, I'm now on Twitter. There's their Twitter account. Follow me there for updates on bathroom breaks, lunch locations, and sock color updates. Just kidding, but you never know what kind of content you'll find there. Okay, that's definitely a cute little interruption, pattern interrupt. But let's watch this video, which is going to be definitely a pattern interrupt, or we'll just say it's an interruption.
Those happen all the time. The question is, how do democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's right, carry on.
My apologies.
What's this going to mean for the region?
My apologies. South Korea's policy choices on North Korea have been severely limited in the last 6 months to a year.
Okay, that was cute. All right, so now moving on, and final number 8, learn to sell the results of the business, not the business itself. One of the biggest emotional driver that causes people to change is pain, or the fear of future pain. You see, self-persuasion is the most powerful thing there is. Did you know that if the emotional side of a human brain is damaged, one cannot decide as simple as saying hello, drinking water, using the restroom, or even tying their shoe? You will be in that hospital bed for the rest of your life if that were to happen. It's on the emotional side of the brain is where the decision making starts. And it's a logical part is where we back it up, right? I heard the saying, and I think it's so relevant. People don't change when they see the light. They change when they feel the heat. If you can learn to build a gap from where they are and where they want to be, the bigger the gap, the more likely they will move. Don't try to sell to people's needs. See, most people don't even know what they need. There was a great analogy told about how, say, imagine someone were to have a headache, and they thought they just would go to the urgent care so they can get some medication for the pain and they'd be fine. And they might think, oh, all I have to come up with is co-payment for the urgent care and then whatever the cost of medication is. However, they go into the urgent care and the doctor starts to ask them a series of questions. Through this series of questions and the person's answers, they find out that the diagnosis is not just a headache, but perhaps it's even bigger than that. They find out they likely have a tumor and they will need this major surgery, and it's going to cost them hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and their insurance will only cover 80% of it. And they now have to come up with over $100,000 as their portion. See, they initially thought all they needed was some medicine for the pain from the urgent care. And then they find out through a series of questions from the doctor that it's so much bigger than that. Remember that most people don't even know what they need. That's where we come in. Just as the doctor did to ask questions to get to the diagnosis, think of yourself as a doctor as well. Find out through questions, listening, and the proper tone what people really need, even though they may not realize how much they need it. You have this cure, the antidote, the prescription to the disease or problem they have. ACN essentially can be the answer to the problem they don't even realize they know or even have. Remember, guys, prevention is better than the cure. So thank you guys so much for getting on the call tonight. I hope something tonight shared was insightful for you and you can apply this to your business and go do something, like Mr. Thomas says, to move your business forward tonight. With that being said, take care, everyone. God bless and take care.